Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Endore Awakens. We are on part 7. Today, of course, we will be starting off Endore Awakens episode with a little bit of tutorial about some of the ways to do things so that if you are having a little bit of a struggle bus, kind of figuring out Endore Awakens, I'm here to make sure that you move from point A to point B in a smooth transition. And as we are transitorily moving throughout Endore Awakens, I'll also be talking about the characters and what their talent trees look like. We'll also be discussing ways to build a good, strong party, what some of the prefixes mean when you are building a character, and we'll also be getting into a little gameplay. All of that will be covered in today's episode for about a good, maybe about an hour or so. And then I'll be doing some other recordings today. Welcome back from your Memorial Day weekend. Today is Tuesday, and yeah, me and Queen Angel had a lot of fun. We did have to do some chores, so we didn't exactly party like rock stars. We did some laundry. We did some other tasks we had to do. Queen Angel had to brush our sweet little boy, Angel 4. He needed a little bit of a brushing, and he got that done. He's always the cleanest little guide dog in the entire neighborhood. You know, his levels are very high. He's like definitely a high-level guide dog. Angel 2 went out of town to check out my old town. She went up to Sonoma area, North Bay, had a beautiful time out there. Don't even know exactly everything she did, but she had a good time. And Angel 3 did some really good creative work at home, got a lot of stuff done, is preparing to go to Elysium College. I'm not naming the college, of course, for privacy, but I just call it Elysium, going to her own particular college, and she's very excited about that, so she's been working really hard. And Angel 1, of course, has been jumping on fires, putting them out, making things work, fixing things, being the strong angel mom she is to get things done. Yours truly, goofing off when I can, relaxing, watch the Arena World Championships for Warcraft. It was pretty fun. Europe and America, watched the finals for both. I would have to say the European ones were a little bit more exciting. The American ones were okay, but pretty one-sided. I am a big fan of PvP in World of Warcraft. I used to play it. I spent a good 3 or 4 years playing it almost every day. Not professionally, of course, but for fun. It was very exciting. I had my own little twink character who was like level 19, then level 29, and level 39, and I would ride that character out, killing everything I could kill in the arena. Not arena, but the battlefields. It was really fun. I never really liked arenas. I just don't find them very fun. But I like listening to people play in them. So, you know, that was really fun. I always have good memories when I listen to arena battles. I'm not so big on raids. There are a couple of YouTubers I like to listen to them do raids. But for the most part, I just like adventures like I'm doing right now. I like exploring dungeons, building my characters, getting stronger like in Endore Awakens. I'm not so big on PvP, but there are several games I do own that have PvP elements. So that's about all I can say. I've got some Endor coffee that is indoor and tasty. And I just finished breakfast, so I'm feeling good like that. Again, today we're going to be talking about some tutorial elements that might be confusing to all of you. I'm going to show you how to target multiple members of your team with buffs, and I'm going to show you how to target 2 or more members of your team with heals, such as those from the shaman. Those are going to be the 2 main things we talk about today. I'm also going to talk about how you can easily cast those spells and how to make sure that those spells have gone through. So first of all, let's go ahead and go to the dungeon. So if you'd like to follow along with me to make sure that you verify that you know how to do this, go ahead and turn on Endore Awakens, go into the app, hit the city, double tap that button, go in the city, go to the dungeon. Make sure before you go to the dungeon, you visit the inn and pick up potions. My suggestion for potions would be at least a good 10 or so energy potions and at least a good 20 to 30 healing potions, or light life potions, they're called. If you're going to be experimenting in a dungeon with a new team, might I suggest you take a dungeon that's a little easier. Don't take your latest dungeon where you're at your skill, kind of like your high skill level. Take a dungeon that's a little easier. It feels like when you do dungeons, you can't adjust which dungeon you're going to do. I haven't yet figured out how to do it. When I do figure out how to do it, I will try to offer as much tips as I can show you. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about how to take advantage of the gems and free gold and ads. So let's get that out of the way first. Every hour, you have a chance to get 120% extra experience and loot. That is your first thing. You should do that last, but I'm just wanted to let you know every hour that one becomes available. And one of the coolest pro tips you can have is, if you think you're going to have to answer the telephone, bio, or do something, whenever you finish watching the ad for the experience boost, don't clear the ad. The timer for starting your experience boost only begins after you clear the ad, when the ad is completed. So it's a cool little pro tip that you can leave that full 59 minutes and 59 seconds up until you're ready to use it. So typically, if I have to get a delivery or I have to quickly go take care of a matter, I will leave that ad complete and on my phone, and then I'll come back and clear that ad, and then I'll be at a full 59 minutes and 59 seconds for my experience. Because if you clear the ad, the timer will begin to count down, getting ready for your next hour use of that particular cooldown. So one of the things to get used to is to remember that when you clear ads, that's when the timer begins. Now, one of the ads you never want to sit on is the gym ad. The gym ad is only 59 minutes before you can use it. You're going to want to immediately use it, even if you're just walking by your phone. Use it, let it count down. Clear the ad so that it's always counting down to the next ad. And if you're feeling really frisky, you can set a timer on your phone that reminds you every 58 minutes to open your app and start your new timer. Now, that's a little excessive, and I know some of you might say, wow, that's a little bit much. But let's say you're working on a project and you're using your iPad or using another device or your computer. You could just set your phone next to you and have a timer go off every 58 minutes, which gives you about a minute to save your project on your computer or your iPad, and then you can start the process of opening up Endore Awakens and watching the ad. By the way, if you open up your app periodically, it will also offer you a free ad to watch, which will give you some free gold. Every time you watch an ad, you're going to get a certain amount of gold. When you first start the game, the gold amount isn't very much, but as you clear dungeons, the gold amount gets higher and higher. So it's really important to clear dungeons. All right, another thing I want to explain to you is how the daily gems rewards work. So starting with day 1, every time you play Endor a certain number of hours, the timer counts down from 24 hours down to 0 minutes. And at that point, you get to open up a free chest containing gems. Go ahead and collect those gems, and the next day's timer will begin to count down. And it's pretty simple, right? So you have basically 3 different chests you can open. You have the chest that gives you gems every 60 minutes. There's the chest that opens up every 24 hours. And there's a chest that opens up every 60 minutes that gives you experience and loot boosts. Always open up the experience and loot boost chests last, because that gives you the chance to have your party ready to go into a dungeon. The best way to use the experience and loot chest is when you're going in a dungeon, because that's when you're going to get experience. There's some other things to keep in mind. There are other ways to earn experience, but for the most part, I would say questing isn't really something you're going to get a lot of experience from. And some MMOs, quests are where you get the majority of your experience from. Therefore, you can make a lot of money having your experience boosters up when you turn in quests. This game doesn't have very many quests, so the most money the most experience and loot you're gonna gain is from defeating monsters in the dungeon and bosses. All right. You also receive a small amount of experience from opening chests, disarming traps, and surviving little pitfalls inside of the dungeon. Also, some new sounds I've discovered this week. I wanted to bring attention to that. Traps have a sound now. It sounds like when you successfully disarm a trap. Also, when you walk on certain parts of the dungeon, you hear a boop, which I do believe is that it's telling you that you might have sighted something or heard something. Again, I'm still learning. For now, when I record, I have yet to hear sounds because I think my screen recording is blocking out the sound. It also could be that I have my beautiful MyNoise playing, but the music from the game itself is quite beautiful too, so there's nothing wrong with playing the game's music, which does have volume control. I will put the game's music on occasionally, but it does get a little bit repetitive, and I don't always like to hear it that way. Sometimes I like to put on a fireplace, I put a little ice music on, like today. I've got a fireplace and an icy kind of musical tone on, as you can hear it in the background. I don't have it on very loud, but it's playing, and it has a really good way of preventing repetitive loops. It loops, but it doesn't loop in a predictable pattern, so your brain doesn't hear the loop. The loop is there, but because the developer's done such a good job of making sure that the loops are very hard to notice. They're not transparent, and they transition very seamlessly, so you don't hear the loop. Again, that's the thing about soundscapes. Soundscapes can be very beautiful but predictable, or they can be very, very transitional, random, and interesting. Therefore, it kind of makes your brain think, and it kind of keeps you motivated and keeps you just not feeling like you're trapped into some kind of soundscape. So those are some of the advantages of having something like MyNoise, which is the latter I mentioned, not the former. All right. So let's get into the last part of our tutorial before we get into some play. We are in Sunken Temple 2 out of 5. I'm going to show you how to easily select buffs and how to use spells and how to use consumables when you are in the dungeon. Alright, so your characters are most easily found when inside of the dungeon at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you turn on headings. Swipe down with headings.
Sunken Temple, 2/5 coordinates, gamepad section, heading.
And once you hear gamepad section, swipe down again.
Launch button, heading.
I'm going to turn the speaking rate down a little bit.
Speech volume, audio ducking, speaking rate, 60%, words, character, vertical nav headings.
Now, once you're at the bottom of the headings,
heading not found.
When you hear heading not found, you're at that is the farthest the headings go. So there's no more headings at this point. So you're going to have to move from left to right.
Consumable, button.
You're going to hear consumable.
Cast, dim,
cast,
button. Room, coordinates, 17,
room.
Onyx, active skill, vigor aura, active skill, totem of power.
Now you
image.
Hear my characters.
Actions available.
So you can hear that my characters actually have multiple buffs on them. For instance, I have given my characters a totem buff from my shaman, whose name is Ever, E-V-E-R, and I just named him that because I wanted to call him Veer, but the game, I hadn't cleared out the naming text, and I wind up naming them Ever, which is a great name. Now I like it. The other buff my characters have on is a Paladin buff.
Room, Onyx, active skill, vigor aura, active skill, totem of power.
Vigor aura.
Actions available.
So Vigor aura is a level 12 skill that you can unlock from your guild. Guild is your class. So this game calls classes guilds. So in your guild, a paladin at level 12 can unlock, and it's literally that thing, you unlock a skill. Now there are, I do believe at this point, 2 paths for each guild to take. one path seems to be a healer or support class. The other class seems to be a DPS and or like a character who peels the enemy away or distracts them. So not necessarily damage, but it can be quite distracting to the enemy. So those are the two different paths you can take. Also, your character can choose something called prefixes to even add more variety to the build that your character has. For instance, if I was to take a rogue and I was to go more for a damage dealing rogue, but if I wanted to make sure that my rogue was also collecting lots of gold and opening up loot opportunities, I could choose trickery. Trickery would open up more chances to get loot and gold. However, let's say I was a person who wanted my rogue to be trickier. Well, I could choose something that offers me a chance to have perception, and perception would be something in this game that's called insight. So insight allows your particular rogue to have a little better chance of disarming a trap, figuring out some kind of energy kind of trap or some kind of thorn trap, and or even like dealing with, say, some kind of throne or some kind of altar or other kind of effect. So that's one of the cool things about this game is you can take your character in one of several different directions, and then there's some subcategories that you can take your character in. Let's talk a little bit about some of the categories that, say, your tank could have. Now, typically your tank has something called threat, and threat makes the monsters attack you, makes the boss attack you, makes things target you, the tank. That's a good thing to have if your other characters are squishy. Squishy meaning that they don't have a high amount of defense, which means they can be one-shotted or killed. So it's really important to make sure you do have a strong, dedicated tank, which is a character who has a lot more defense. Typically, you're going to have to focus on defense. It doesn't mean that you can't have some offense, but typically, if you want to survive the end of a game, your tank must definitely focus on defense. It's okay if you have a little bit of offense, it's okay if you have a little bit of insight, but for the most part, a tank needs to have defense and something called intimidation for gear. So that is a subcategory of gear that your tank wants in order to generate something called threat, which, as we talked about before, makes monsters attack you. So when you are a tank, you're going to want to build your tank with defensive gear. It's okay if your tank has offensive gear, which is called might. So might is gear that focuses on attack and not so much on defense. Let's talk about some other kind of subgenres of gear that your tank might have. Your tank can have gear called resistance. Now, resistance gives you defense against fire, ice, different kinds of spells, darkness, things like that, poisons. Your tank is going to not take as much damage from these kind of strange effects if they have strong resistance. Now, in more complex D&D games, there's a defense for each type of damage. There's resistance against fire, resistance against ice, resistance against dark, resistance against light, resistance against poison, resistance against anything you can think of, curse. In this game, you got one stat, which is I'm comfortable with, just for against all of the particular effects that can kind of hurt you. Don't underestimate resistance. And once you reach the ice dungeons early on, you start dealing with ice damage from ice skills, which are like small, low-level dragons. You'll start to deal with resistance damage very early on in your dungeon crawl. So keep an ear out in the stores for resistance gear. You can also place it in your bank, though it isn't really efficient to buy gear in advance, because for the most part, you're just going to want to buy gear when you see something that really fits your build. But if you really have a lot of gold, you could buy gear and swap between it. Again, I do want to encourage a developer to make it easy to equip and unequip gear when in the city. It doesn't seem to be very easy to do. I find it easier to do inside of the dungeon, but I'd like to see it made a lot easier. and not just something we do when we're in a dungeon. Again, when you're in a city, that seems like the most logical place you'd equip and unequip gear. Also, I'd like to make it so that you can equip and unequip gear when you're in the bank, when you have your 2 tabs there. Because in the bank, you have a tab for your bank, and you have a tab for your inventory that you're carrying. All your characters share the same inventory, so keep that in mind. All right, finally, there are some other kind of things you can do. You can have a DPS class, and DPS class can function in lots of ways. They can be very tanky, which means hard to kill, or they can be very glass cannon, which means they hit hard, but they die quick, or shatter. So those are some of the things you can do. And finally, let's finish off and talk about how to select your characters for multi-use spells. All right, now that we know how to get down to our characters in a dungeon, let's select a character who can target the whole team.
100%, 90%, Crimson selected. 144 per Gunther, active skill, Vigor Aura, active skill, Totem of Power,
so
image.
Gunther,
actions available.
Gunther can select the entire team. Once we have found Gunther, there's going to be a couple of swipes that are going to be focused on Gunther.
44 Gunther, active skill,
So
Vigor Aura, active skill, Totem of Power,
swipe,
image.
first focus.
80%,
That's Gunther's hit points. As you can hear, he's down 20%.
100%,
And that's Gunther's energy. It's at max. If we swipe again,
Ever, active skill,
we
Vigor Aura,
move down
active
to
skill,
the next
Totem of
character.
Power, image.
So all of
Actions
your
available.
characters are lined up, one above the other. As you swipe through them, you'll move from one character to the next character. You'll hear their health or hit points by a percentage, and then you'll hear their energy by a percentage. You can, when you want to select a particular character in this way, you're going to wait to hear their name. Double tap when you hear their name.
100%, 80%. Gunther, active
Now
skill,
that
Vigor Aura, active
I
skill,
have
Totem of
Gunther,
Power, image.
You're
Actions
going to
available.
notice that it doesn't say selected. So let's double tap and make sure that Gunther is selected. I'm going to go ahead and double tap.
Gunther selected, active skill, Vigor Aura, active skill, Totem of Power, image.
Let's go through what happened. Now, when I focused on Gunther, I then double tapped. When I double tapped, I heard 3 different things. I heard the 2 active buffs that were on Gunther, which was a Vigor spell that's done by Paladins, and a Totem spell, which is done by Shaman. And then it told me what the percentage of what Gunther had. Let me let you hear it again.
44 Gunther selected, active skill, Vigor Aura, active skill, Totem of Power, image.
Okay,
Actions available.
Sorry, it just said 2 things. It just explained what my active skills were. Active skills are, again, things that you can place on your character. Now, Gunther has an ability that allows me to put Vigor on my entire team. I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, make sure you focus your character who has skill. And just remember, you need to learn this skill in order to target everyone. Typically, it takes into at least level 6 or level 12 to get a skill that targets your whole team. Now that Gunther is focused and selected, you've heard that selected, let's go ahead and cast that Vigor spell. So, when you're selected a member, there's something tricky that happens that's going to be a little confusing. If I just push up or swipe, if I just use my heading, which is active on my rotor, I'm going to hear something a little weird. I'm going to have move or adjust the position of the character. Let's demonstrate.
Move to the end.
See that? It didn't move up to where we want to go, which is cast. So, that's how you move characters in order. Characters who are in the back tend to get hit less, as far as I can tell. Don't quote me, but that tends to be what happens. So if you want to get out of the individual character movement part, swipe to your left once.
44%.
You're going to think, oh no, I moved away from Gunther, and now I got to reselect him. No, you don't. You don't have to reselect him because we've already selected Gunther. Now, if headings is activated on your rotor, we can swipe up to something called your cast area.
Launch button, heading.
And this is it. Launch button is perfectly fine. Launch button is the area where we can cast spells. Let me swipe to my right now.
Consumable button.
There's my consumables. At this point, the character that's selected will use its consumables from your group inventory.
Cast button.
Now, this is what I'm looking for, listening for, cast. Now that I've heard cast, let's double tap on the cast button.
Select skill heading.
You hear that bloop, which means I've entered that little submenu or info screen if you were talking about, core quests. So now that I'm inside of cast, I can now select a skill that Gunther has.
Lesser heal, 10 energy. Heal your target for 43. Select skill heading. Lesser heal, 10 energy. Heal your target for 43.
Gunther can heal for 43. Again, the amount of healing Gunther does is based on Gunther's spell power. Paladins can be both DPS, tank, and healer. So you can have a lot of fun with paladins. They're very versatile and does fit within the lore.
Vigor aura, 10 energy. Increases the party's movement speed. Bullet speed plus 20%.
Okay, so Vigor Aura increases our speed, which makes it so that we attack the enemy more often than they attack us. So let's go ahead and use our Vigor Aura, even though it's already active. I'm going to go ahead and double tap Vigor Aura, now that I am focused on it.
Vigor aura selected, button.
You heard that? Vigor Aura selected. Be listening for a selected. That's the key. Now that Vigor Aura is selected, don't do anything weird. Just go calmly and slowly. You're going to swipe to your right to find someone to target with Vigor Aura. Let's swipe to our right.
Room, coordinates, 17, Onyx, active skill, Vigor aura, active skill, totem of power, image. Actions
Onyx
available.
Already has been selected by Vigor Aura, but that's okay. We don't care. We're going to be listening for whether or not Vigor Aura is activated on our whole team. So I'm going to double tap, which makes Vigor Aura target Onyx. Okay? Once that happens, you're going to hear the UI call out all the characters that have been targeted by the spell. Are you ready? I'm going to double tap. Remember, I am focused on Onyx. Let me go ahead and double tap.
Onyx selected characters, Onyx, Crimson, Gunther, Ever.
Did you hear that? Selected characters. Even though I was focused on Onyx, I activated the selection process for my entire team. Why? Because this particular skill targets your entire party or team. Now that my entire team or party is selected, this is very important. Don't need to do anything else but double tap once more, and it will now affect all of them. When I first did this, I didn't understand how to make it go through. It confused me. All you need to do now is double tap again, and everybody will be targeted with Vigor Aura. Let's go ahead and double tap, and let's hear if I'm correct.
Onyx, active skill, Vigor aura, active skill, totem of power, image.
All right. So it didn't let you hear. It lets you hear that they're targeted with it. But if everyone was empty, you'd hear everyone that you went to, every character that you focused on, you'd hear that they have Vigor Aura on. Okay? And that's the whole process of how you target your party and hit them with a skill that targets the whole party. And again, if you're done with spell casting, you can go ahead and swipe up with your rotor active.
Move to the end.
But what happened? Yes, we're still in character movement. Swipe to your left.
Room, coordinates, 17,
And
3
then
right
swipe
raise,
up.
launch button, heading. Gamepad section,
And if
heading.
we wanted to go back to the gamepad section, we can go right back to the gamepad section. All right, so that's really important. Again, some of the little things that can throw you off is the movement of your characters, their positions, and whether or not you've targeted your entire party. Really important when you are going to cast a skill for the whole group, that you make sure that you have the correct character selected, the correct skill selected, and that you have focused on a party member to activate the skill. Now, some characters like the shaman can heal up to 2 party members. In that particular instance, you're going to have to select the first person to focus, and the game will select who the second person is who's healed. You don't control that, they control that. That's something that we have to just learn. And like, again, that's the whole learn to play, how to play the game. You're not going to have everything handed to you. You're going to have to learn how things work a little bit on your own. And of course, I try to make sure that I offer as many pro tips as I can. So you keep coming back to my channel. Whenever I've learned a pro tip, you know I'm going to share it with all of you. That is what I do on my channel, and it's what I enjoy. I enjoy teaching little tips and tricks. I know all of you who are channel contributors also learn and love to teach. Again, if you want to help others learn tricks, and if they're slightly different than mine, please feel free to exercise your voices in the comments and leave your own little tutorial. Again, something that might save you time, when you are offering contributions to the channel, try not to mention me because it confuses others. Just simply speak in tutorial speak. When you open this menu, swipe to the left, swipe to the right, and find this menu, then double tap, then succeed. So when you're offering tutorial, try not to focus on me, try to focus on what you'd offer someone you've never met. The best way to teach is to pretend like the person knows nothing on the topic. Don't assume they understand what you're talking about. Be descriptive. And it's okay if you want to drop tons of comments. They're always welcome. Again, you can swing by my Discord if there's something you want to talk about. If you're looking to communicate with me, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and X. I'm on all of them as Game Double Tap. You can find a link to my Discord in my description. You can also, if you want, reach out to me by email at game_double_tap. And that's a great way to reach out to me if you're a developer and you have a game you want me to test, try, communicate with, give feedback on, play. I can do all that stuff for you. And of course, if you have something great you want to offer my community, I'd love to do so. There's actually a couple of developers I'm trying to get back in touch with. There is a developer who offered me a story game. I can't find the link anymore to it. But if you are a developer and you have some really good text-based games, I love text-based games. So please, if you have a game like that, I'm your man. Please bring it to me. Those are, well, Luther's doing backflips because Luther loves text-based games. So if you are a developer and you have a text-based game, okay, yeah, Douglas loves text-based games as well. And yeah, if you have games like, oh, sorry, Baby Goat likes them too. Everybody, okay, everybody, calm down. Everybody likes text-based games here at Game Double Tap. So if you're a developer and you have a really great text-based game, you want somebody to play it, you want me to try it out for the first time, I'll world premiere it and let everyone hear about it. Just give me the opportunity to play it, and as long as there's no copyright violations with music, hey, I'm your man. I'll play it for you. I'll make it work, and I will bring it to my audience. I would love to do that. Just my offer. Reach out to me at game_double_tap@gmail.com, and I'd love to chit chat with you. I do know people like to send me clan invites and other invites through email. I would discourage that. I just pretty much delete those emails. If you want to offer tool tips and tutorial tips for my people, if they're not too personal, I would love to share them. If you are offering me a really cool game to play and you have some meaty meats and potatoes about the game, that's a great thing to email me about. If you're a developer, want me to test a game, that's an awesome thing to email me about, and I really appreciate it. If you are a channel contributor and you have some way to help me with my sound setup and you're not going to berate me, that's a great thing to reach out to me through my email. Or you can reach out to me on my Discord if you're me with an H, and yeah, you can reach out to me there and I'll be sure to get back in touch with you. Alright, the game's developer is Javier Hernandez Torres. He's done a fantastic job with Endore Awakens. If you wanted to know what the first game in the series is called, it's called Deaths of Endor. I told you I would tell you the name because I did have a little bit of a memory lapse. But yes, if you're looking to try the very first game in the series, it's called Deaths of Endor. I will try to put a link in my description, but my descriptions are getting a little too beefy with all the social media, so I really can't fit any more things in my description. So if you can't find what link you're looking for in one description, please check my other descriptions and you'll find what you're looking for. Also, I'm going to try to be a little bit more proactive and put my social media links in other of my social medias. Like if I'm on Instagram, I'll try to drop my Facebook link. If I'm on Facebook, I'll try to drop my X link. If I'm in my X link, I'll try to drop my Discord link. All right, now that we've kind of gone over, we're going to go ahead and stop with all the tutorial. I don't want to overdo tutorials every episode. We've been going for like a good 30 minutes. Let me see how much time we have left. I'm going to refill my coffee. Let's see. Luther's going to ride the train, and I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take a quick bio. Luther's going to ride the train. When you hear the train, that means that I am taking a quick bio and refilling my coffee. And then we're going to finish off Sunken Temple 2 out of 5. And of course, this is part 7. Thank you for joining me at Cozy Gaming with Mike. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then I will come back and finish off the episode. Thank you.
The timer time is 0 hour 29 minutes 2 seconds.
All right, everybody, we are back. Thank you, Luther, for riding the train. Of course, that's your way of knowing that you can swipe up from your current spot on the feed. Not that it really matters. Most of you just are playing along with me, so I always encourage you to play along with me. But of course, if you do not like to wait for me to finish my little quick bio or interruptions, you can always use the choo-choo train to determine what part of the video you're in. When you hear the choo-choo train, I am not at my sound equipment, which really consists of just a couple of things. Okay, we refilled our coffee. We are bioed. We are ready to finish this episode. Again, big shout out to MyNoise. Thank you for the beautiful music. And thank you to Javier Hernandez Torres. Please reach out to me, Mr. Torres. I'd love to chit chat with you about how we can work on the sounds so that my audience can hear the beautiful sounds that you've added. I really think we're going to have to put in app sounds, a toggle, so that we can hear the app sounds coming through. Again, this is something that one of my favorite developers, Randall Higgins, was able to resolve, because voiceover and screen recording have a really bad habit of shutting down app sounds. So I think there is a way for us to make sure that app sounds come through from the game, because I love your sounds. They are so gorgeous, and I want to hear them, please. I also am going to play the game's music on certain episodes, just to let you know. But when I'm playing the game music, I will probably not be in tutorial mode. How many more tutorials do I think I'm going to be doing? I do believe I have 2 more. We're going to be talking, I'm going to talk a lot about how the map, how the exploratory map works. I am still focusing on explaining to you what all the prefixes mean. So yes, I will try to do a tutorial on the prefix. I'm also going to talk about how the questing works and how some of the specialized NPCs work. I hope to do an entire tutorial on where to find all the hidden NPCs. I just have to settle down and get working on it. So we'll see if I get that done. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can finish off Sunken Temple 2 of 5.
What's around? Button. Launch button. Heading. Heading not found. Room. Coordinates. 17.
Right.
To right brace.
I have already mostly finished exploring this dungeon, so just to let you know, I've mostly explored it.
Launch button. Heading. Heading not found. Gamapid section. What's around? But wall to the north. End dungeon to the west.
All right, let's go ahead and get out of here. What I'm going to do is hopefully not get stuck in a commercial. I don't want to cancel commercials because I listen to them constantly. I need them for the money.
Room to the south. East. Room to the south. End dungeon to the west.
Let's go to the west and get out of here because I just want to complete this dungeon and move on to the next one.
End dungeon to the west. Sunken Temple. 2/5 completed.
All right, let's complete it.
You have found the exit. Keep exploring. To the city. Button.
Let's go back to the city.
Extra reward. Do you want 2,000 gold? Extra reward. Close. But never. But close. Button.
Let's close that.
30,207
I don't
gold.
want to make
Image.
you sit through
30,207.
commercial, so
1,030 spy premium. Gems and gold. A reward is available. Tap to view the ad now. Button. Close.
if you miss your reward, you can go back to the available rewards. What I'd like to see is that reward, those reward ads stack up so I can watch more than one at a time. I still would love to see the price of premium come down. I'd like to see premium come down to about $3 per month. That would be reasonable. Or preferably, I'd love to just purchase the game, have a license for it, and maybe make the game anywhere from $10 to $15. So then we'd never have to watch an ad again. I think that'd be reasonable. Again, those are just things that is up to the developer to do. My opinions really are just my opinions, okay? That doesn't mean the developer's going to do that.
Dungeon. Image. Store. Image. Store.
All right, now that we've completed that dungeon and we're just building up cash, let's go ahead and jump back into... I'd like to see if I can complete the next dungeon in the Sunken Temple series.
In. Image. In.
But
Guilds. Image.
I'm not going to
Guilds.
go buy stuff. I've done a lot of episodes where I bought stuff. I'll do that on my own time. Let's just go ahead and pick up a couple potions and let's go jump back into the dungeon.
In, image, in, store, dungeon, image, dungeon. Store, image, store, dungeon, image, button, close. A reward is a button, dungeon, image, dungeon, store, image, in, image, in.
So you're
Back,
going to want to
button.
go to the inn, and you're going to want to talk to the first NPC.
In, heading, people, heading. Garrick's Donnabrew, potion
Garrick
seller, image, Garrick's Donnabrew,
is a
potion seller.
and that is
Back,
all
button.
he sells.
Innkeeper, heading, regular, ×2 minor potion of life, 120 gold.
And then what you could do is just, I don't know if there's better potions coming. For now, these are all that I have access to. I'm going to go ahead and buy these two.
Back, button.
You're going to want to double tap on the potion you want to buy, and then it's going to ask you to verify it.
Buy, 120 gold, button, regular, time, buy, 120 gold, button.
Then you're going to want to hit buy.
Confirm buy.
It's going to confirm the buy.
Do you want to buy ×2 minor, cancel, but buy, 120, button.
Then you say buy. And
Regular,
you bought it.
×6 minor potion of life, 360 gold.
Now, you can buy as many duplicates as you want, depending on your inventory space, but do remember, if you run out of inventory space, you may spend gems to enlarge your inventory by 3 slots at a time.
Innkeeper, regular, ×6 minor potion of
I'm
life,
going to go ahead and pick up
360,
some more minor
back,
potions of
button,
life.
buy, 360 gold, button. Confirm buy. Do you want to cancel, buy,
And
300,
I'm gonna buy those. So I
regular,
bought
×5 potion of cleansing, 300 gold.
8 more potions of life. I'm pretty good. I've learned that once you get to Sunken Temple, energy usage starts becoming an issue. Your characters have a lot stronger spells. Your characters have uses of energy that come from interacting with altars. So you're going to have to bring energy potions with you.
Regular, ×8 minor potion of energy, 480 gold. Regular, ×8 minor potion of energy, 480 gold.
I prefer stacks that are at least 8 or 9, but that's up to you. I do not know if you can consolidate stacks, but I think that'd be great, Javier, if we did have a function on the UI that let us consolidate stacks.
Regular, ×8 minor potion of energy,
Let's
400.
go ahead and double
Back,
tap
button.
that.
Buy, regular, buy, 400. Confirm buy. Do you want to cancel, buy, 408.
And that's good
Regular,
enough.
×8 minor potion of energy, 480 gold.
You're going to want to bring what you're comfortable with bringing. I tend to bring what I bring a certain amount with me in each dungeon, what I'm comfortable with. But once you've got that done, let's go ahead and make sure we sell stuff that's in our inventory that we don't need.
Regular, innkeeper, back, button. Dismiss. Heading not found. Dismiss. Garrick's Donnabrew, Vesperous Black Quests, heading, Vesperous Garrick's, people, head in, heading, back, button, in, image, guilds, image, bestiary, bang, image, daily chest, morgue, image, daily chest, bang, besti, guilds, image, in, image, store, image,
Now, once
character
you get
navigation,
to the
Gunther,
store,
heading,
this is where you can sell stuff.
back, button, Gunther, heading, selected, buy, sell, tab 2 of 2,
And I like
selected,
to just
sell, tab 2 of 2,
Randomly, just grab a character and go ahead and sell the stuff we don't
equipment,
need.
magic, divine scepter of sorcery, weapon slot, magic, gold, magic, knight's visor of sorcery, head, magic, Templar's cuirass of warding, armor slot, magic, knight's sabatons of fortitude, 11/21 inventory, heading,
Now, there's a really cool feature that's been recently added. You can sell everything at once with this.
magic, 11/21 inventory, heading,
It's your inventory heading button. It's a button here. And with this button, you not only know how many, this button has labels on it. So the first label is it tells you how many items are in your inventory. But if you double tap it, let's hear what happens.
11/21 inventory, heading, multiple selection, button,
There it is, a multiple selection. So
regular, ×6 potion of multiple selection, button,
with multiple selection button, I'm sorry, it's the multiple selection button, I can select more than one item in my inventory. I can exclude items and I can include items. And then I can delete them all at the same time by selling them. I can do all kinds of cool stuff. This is one of the new features that have been added into the game, and it is very much appreciated. So, but in this case, I'm not going to do that.
11/21 magic, knight's sabatons of fortitude, foot slot, magic, Templar's magic, divine equipment, heading, magic, equipment, selected, sell, buy, tap, selected, sell, tab 2 of 2.
So I'm going to go ahead and sell.
Magic, knight's visor of source, 11/21 multiple regular, ×6 potion of cleansing, regular, ×9 minor potion of life, regular, ×9 minor potion of life, regular, ×9 minor potion of energy, magic, gold ring of insight, 320 gold.
Now, once I get to an item I'm not going to be using anymore, I can go ahead and touch it
Regular, magic, gold ring of insight, 320 gold.
by
Back,
double
button.
tapping it. Now, you can look at it before you sell it.
Sell. Free. Magic. Gold. Stats. Heading.
And there you'll hear what the stats are. I'm not going to go through the stats, but you can hear the heading stats. That's your chance to take one last look at the item before you sell it. But if you don't need to look at it, go ahead and
Magic. Gold. Sell. 320 gold. Button.
hit the sell button, which also has attached to it the price that it's going to sell for. You'll get that gold placed into your gold value.
Confirm sell.
After you confirm,
Do you want to sell gold ring of cancel? But sell. 320. Button.
boom.
Gunther cannot use this item. Rare. Throwing knife of great fortitude. 330 gold.
Don't worry if you hear a character said they can't do something. That's just telling you that the game always, the UI always compares your character with the item that you are focused on. So if the character can't use it, you get that message, which is not really an error message. It's more of a hover over an item message that lets you know that this character cannot use that item. It's still valuable information.
Gunther cannot use this item. Gunther cannot use this item. Rare. Throwing knife of great fortitude. 330 gold.
So with this, you might want to know, well, how did I get a great throwing knife of fortitude? Well, I took off one of the items I was wearing, and whenever you take off an item, the item that you replace that item with is dumped into your inventory. But your inventory needs to be periodically cleaned at times. So I'm going to go ahead and sell all the stuff I don't need.
Regular. Gunther cannot use this item. Rare. Throwing knife of great fortitude. 300.
Double tapping,
Back. Button. Sell. 330 gold. Button.
selling it.
Attributes. Heading.
Whoops.
Spell power. Plus stats. Heading. Attack. Plus 3 right stats. Heading not found. Attack. Defense. Spell power. Attribute. Critical. Perception. Requirements. Attribute. Spell power. Defense. Attack. Stats. Gunther cannot sell. 330 gold. Button. Confirm sell. Do you want to cancel? Sell. 300. Gunther cannot use this item. Magic. Leather cap of might. 26 gold. Back. Button. Sell. 26 gold. But. Confirm sell. Do you want to cancel? Sell. 26. Gunther cannot use this item. Magic. Twin Reaper of Precision. 586 gold. Back. But. Sell. 508. Sell. 500. Confirm sell. Do you want to cancel? Sell. 508. Gunther cannot use this. Gunther cannot use this item. Gunther cannot use this item. Magic. Chris of Trickery. 450. Back. But. Sell. 450. Sell. 400. Confirm sell. Do you want to sell? Cancel. Sell. 450. Gunther cannot use this item. Epic. Fortified leather boots of majestic sorcery. 1000. Regular. Times 3 minor potion of energy. 6. Empty inventory slot. 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 Plus 3 inventory slots. 240 gems. Button.
And if you notice there, I can mentally count my empty inventory spots, or I can go to the inventory button area or heading and hear how many inventory spots I have. Again, we have a lot of versatility here. I think this is something I've not seen many developers do, is already be able to calculate how many open inventory spots you have open. I think that's really good. This would be a good feature in a lot of games that have very large inventories, which I love, by the way. Again, Javier, we can get a little bit more inventory. The developers is a little stingy with inventory, but then again, I'm a dungeon master and I'm very stingy with inventory space too. So again, a game within a game is inventory. It's been the bane of adventurers since the beginning of time. Hey, since the 1970s, I've had to fight to have stuff to carry without dealing with encumberment. If you don't know what encumberment is, you're going to have to wait for Daddy Mike to tell you the story of D&D and when encumbrance was a big deal. These days, with spatial storage, the onslaught of lit RPG, where characters can basically carry around an entire world in their pocket, encumbrance isn't a thing that dungeon masters like dump on their players. You're going to get a bag of holding, you're going to get a cube of holding, you're going to get a ring of holding, you're going to get a very safe place to hide all your stuff. But in the old days, you had a sack, and if a goblin cut that sack open, you were dropping coins the whole way away from your camp, and then it's all gone, it's gone. But nowadays, spatial storage is the big deal, especially in lit RPG. But typically, you can purchase larger inventory. In this game, you can purchase larger inventory with gems. By the way, the developer's pretty generous with the game's currency, which is gems, and gold a little stingy. Also, I wanted to let you know, if you want to buy gold, you can use your gems that you got pretty free. I mean, I'm gonna say you get gems for pretty much nothing. You can use your gems to buy a ton of gold. By the way, I do believe you can buy 85,000 gold with 2,000 gems. That's the best deal I ever heard. In fact, let me promise you this. In the future, when I have time, I will calculate what's the best deal to purchase gold. I'm going to do the math, which is just simple division, something I learned in middle school, but I don't use very often. I'll have Alexa calculate it for me, because that's how lazy I am. But I'm going to let y'all know in the future what's the best bang for your buck when it comes to gem purchasing gold. There's probably going to be incrementally better combination to go for, but we'll cover that in a different video. Again, the tutorial parts for Endor, I'm going to try to keep it in the beginning for the first 15-20 minutes. So chit chat for 5 minutes or 10, then tutorial for 10 to 15 minutes, and then the last 30 minutes will be gameplay and or more tutorial, because it's such a new game and there's so much to learn, and I am very sure people are going to want to know all the things I know so they can play without having to stop. They'll know, oh, well, this is how you do it. Okay, let me check our time, because we've been focusing on some couple little minutia here. So let's make sure what time we have so we can get back into that dungeon. But if we don't have time, then maybe we'll save it for episode 8.
Time is 0 hour 8 minutes.
Yeah, we only have 8 minutes. When we come back with the next part, we'll go through more of Sunken Temple. We don't have enough time to go through Sunken Temple. That's going to take at least 25 minutes. And I want to refresh all my buffs, which are my chests, which are going to give me experience and loot boosts. So I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. I know I promised you more Sunken Temple, but we will get back to it. Trust me, I've got a ton of Sunken Temple to go. I've got part 3. I've got Sunken Temple 3, Sunken Temple 4, Sunken Temple 5. And you know on part 5 there's going to be a boss. So let me just say, I think we'll come back with Endor part 8, the end of Sunken Temple. Let's find out what boss is there. As you know, the last couple of episodes we've kind of been dealing with dragons, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be dragons. Also, I want to let you know, when you get to Sunken Temple, you start to fight 3 monsters at a time. So if you wanted to know, when are you ever going to move from 2 monsters? Yes, you start moving to 3 monsters. A couple little last minute little problems. The focus on the monsters seems to drop off sometimes. I found a couple ways to make it kind of be lessened. If you swipe to the left and back to the right, sometimes you can refocus on a monster and not have to double tap on the attack button. I don't know why from one character to another the attack unselects. That's the best way I can put it. I will find out why. There's always a reason, folks. There's always a reason. But for the most part, try swiping to the left and back to the right to see which monster you're attacking and how much percentage of health it has. I still don't know why monsters stay on the screen with 0%, other than the fact that maybe it's a refresh issue. Again, if the developer has an answer to that, please leave me a comment or please email me. Or if you are a person playing and would like to contribute to the cause, please leave a very generous set of comments. Blow up the comments. I appreciate you. Heather is still our #1 commenter, but if you want to beat Heather, you're going to have to comment a lot more often. Follow my social media, please. It's in my description. I'd love to have more followers on Instagram. I'm looking for more followers on X, so you haven't started following me on X? Hey, what the heck is your problem? Follow me on X. Luther would appreciate it. Luther would do a backflip for every new follower. And of course, if you really want to help this channel, liking this video is the #1 way to do so. And the #1 way to see us grow is to subscribe. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to wrap up this episode. We'll come back with part 8. We're going to be talking a little bit more about when you're battling, how to switch your different spells and skills. We're also going to talk about some easy ways to consume consumables so that you can easily keep your entire party topped off. I'm also going to cover a little bit about threat because some of you have asked me a little bit about threat and how that works. We're going to cover that because threat is something we rarely see inside of mobile RPGs. It's just very rare. Threat is more of an MMO kind of dynamic on CRPGs. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us today, folks. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you, truly, dearly, sincerely. I hope you come back to the world of Endor, where we'll do some more exploring. We are looking forward to defeating Sunken Temple and finding out who the mysterious end boss of it is. But for now, folks, enjoy the rest of your day, and please take care.